Can you nook grandmother's favorite dishcloth? Who am I trying to fool here? Of course you can! Hey there and welcome to the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. My name's Thomas and as you know I'm always on the lookout to find some beautiful knitting patterns so I can show you that you can absolutely nook them with just a little hook. And recently I came across grandmother's favorite dishcloth, the knitting pattern. Someone posted a picture of it in a Facebook group, and I even think it was a crochet group, and they asked what kind of stitch this is. And of course all the clever people in the comments directly said that it's not crochet, it's knitting. But luckily for me, someone also said that this is in fact grandmother's favorite dishcloth. So I was curious and Googled it, and then I found out that it's actually a free knitting pattern. So you can get the instructions to make this beautiful dishcloth for free on the internet. So of course I gave it a try with Knooking, and here's the result. A super beautiful textured dishcloth with the garter stitch and a super awesome border that gets created just with yarn overs. And I thought this pattern is so clever and the result is so cute. I definitely have to show you how to make this beautiful grandmother's favorite dishcloth with Knooking. So when you haven't tried Knooking yet and always wanted to, but haven't had a little fun project to try it, this is absolutely the perfect project for you. You will learn a lot of things in terms of tension. You will learn how to make the knit stitches and of course the garter stitch, the yarn overs, and then of course decreases and how to finish it with a beautiful hanger. Overall, I think this is quite possibly the most perfect beginner nooking pattern you can do. And I hope you give it a try because I was absolutely obsessed by it. I loved making these. They are so quickly made and of course they're a beautiful gift, but honestly I'm a huge fan of cotton handmade dishcloths. I use them in my home for years now and they are really the best. No more plastic ones. Take these and more importantly, let's make these. So get your nooking hooks ready and let me show you how to nook grandmother's favorite dishcloth. Here we go. And here's how you nook grandmother's favorite dishcloth. The yarn that I'm going to use is rainbow cotton from Hobby 84 quality, and I will actually use 2 strands of this at once to give it this super beautiful texture. The nooking hook that I'm going to use is a 4mm nooking hook, of course with an attached helper yarn. And then you would need the pair of scissors as always and a yarn needle to sew in the yarn ends. So first I'm going to remove the label. And then I always have the yarn strand from the center and the yarn strand from the outside of the skein, and I will just put them both together so I can work with them simultaneously. And for this tutorial I will also write you down the exact instructions coming from the original pattern so you always can refer to where you are. The link to the written pattern you will also find in my description, so you can follow by watching this tutorial or you follow by the written instruction. This is completely up to you, depending also on how advanced you are in terms of nooking. But let's just start. I will start, of course, with an I-cord. The pattern says to cast on 4 stitches. Now you can use whatever cast on method you like. Of course, I'm doing it with the half I-cord cast on because I think it gives it a pretty nice base and keeps everything a bit more in shape. And we have to cast on 4 stitches, so I'm going to take the yarn that I took to the side. You don't need a lot of yarn to put to the side because you only have 4 stitches. And then you wrap that yarn and from the top over your hook. And then you take the yarn that goes to your yarn skein. Always make sure to grab both of the yarn strands, of course. You wrap it around from the back and then you pull that last loop through the middle loop on your hook, or the second loop, and make an half I-cord. Then again, the yarn from the side from the front, the yarn to your yarn ball from the back, and then just pull through that last loop. Now you have 3 loops, one more, 4, and like that our first instruction is done. And now we can already pull our yarn and the helper yarn through and slide our work on it. And now we turn. And for the next round, we are going to make 4 knit stitches. So we are going to knit stitch each of the 4 stitches that we have. So grab the first stitch, yarn over, and pull it through. Then the next, yarn over, pull it through. The third, and the last one. Here we go. Then we take the helper yarn out, slide our work on it, and turn again. And now we can already start with the pattern. And the pattern says knit the first 2 stitches, then yarn over and knit the remaining stitches. So we start, we grab the first loop, yarn over and pull it through as our first knit stitch, grab the second stitch, yarn over, pull it through. And now we have to make the yarn over. So we just yarn over and then put the yarn to the back again, grab the next stitch, yarn over, pull it through, and the last one, yarn over, pull it through. And like that, we also made an increase, and that yarn over increase will later on create these beautiful holes at the border. So let's continue. Slide the helper yarn out, slide your work on the helper yarn, turn your work, and now we continue the same sequence until we have 44 loops on our hook. So again, pick up the first loop, yarn over and pull through. The next one, knit stitch, and after the first 2 knit stitches, we have the yarn over, pick up the next stitch, which was the yarn over from the previous row, and make a knit stitch, and then knit stitches throughout. Now we have 6. I'll show you 2 or 3 more rounds so you get familiar with the pattern, because it's really pretty much all there is for the half part of this dishcloth. So again, pick up the first loop, knit stitch, and then yarn over and make knit stitches in the remaining stitches, including, of course, the yarn overs. And by that, you increase every round or every row by 1 stitch. Let's continue. Pick up the first loop, knit stitch, yarn over, and make knit stitches all the way until the end. Slide the helper yarn out, slide your work back on the helper yarn, turn it, and continue with the same sequence. First, always 2 knit stitches, yarn over, and then the rest all knit stitches. And here you can see the holes are starting to show. And again, the last round before I leave you to it, knit stitch, yarn over, and knit stitches all the way. And this we basically continue until we have 44 stitches on our hook. And this is where I'll meet you to show you how to go back and start the decreases. Have fun! So now I have 44 loops on my hook. That means, or on the helper yarn, that means that I'm basically halfway through of this project. Here's how it looks. You get the beautiful garter texture in the center. You have the holes as a beautiful border, and the backside looks exactly the same, which is of course awesome. Overall, super quick and super easy. And now we can basically go back and go upwards until we reach the top part of the dishcloth. If at some point you just want to continue to make yourself a triangle shawl or a bandana, here's exactly how you could do it. So you can easily use this pattern to make something else, and because you already have the triangle shape, so you can just go on or pick another yarn and do something with it, a triangle shawl or a bandana, for example. This can always be super fun. You can also decide to change the color so you have a two-colored dishcloth in the end. Do whatever you wish. But first I'm going to show you how to start the decreases. And just like we started this project, we are going to finish it. So this means what I'm doing in the next round is exactly what I will do for the rest of the entire project. The first stitch is again a regular knit stitch. And then we are going to knit 2 stitches together. So you go under both of these loops so that you have them on your hook, then yarn over and pull it through. So now you have the 2 stitches on your hook, and in order to also keep the hole, we yarn over and we continue by knitting 2 together already after the yarn over. So grab the 2 loops and yarn over and pull it through to have 4 loops, and this is basically how you decrease. From there you will just go stitch by stitch, making knit stitches all the way until the end, and then I will show you in the next round how to do the exact same thing, but only from the other side. And here we go. As always, release the helper yarn, slide your work on it, and turn. And now I'll show you again, because what we did on the other side, we will of course have to do on this side. So again, the first stitch is a regular knit stitch. Then you grab the next 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both of them. Then yarn over and directly grab the next 2 loops and nook them together like this. And after that, again, all knit stitches. And we will do exactly the same thing round by round until we have 4 loops left, or 4 stitches left. We started with 4 and we are going to end with 4, and then your dishcloth is almost done. So have fun and I'll see you in a bit. So now I have 4 stitches left, just as mentioned in the written pattern. And this also means that we are basically at the end. Here's how the dishcloth looks. Absolutely pretty. And since the pattern is now pretty much over, all they say is to bind off, or if you want to, make a chain to add a hanger, but nothing else. So I will finish it my way, and for that we are going to make one final round, just with 4 knit stitches, so we have the same ending like we started with the 4 regular stitches. So we make 1 knit stitch in each of the stitches across, and then release the helper yarn, turn your work, and now we are going to bind off. So we grab the first stitch, yarn over and knit stitch. Then we go into the second loop, knit stitch first and then slip stitch. And now I'm already going to incorporate a hanger so that in the end I can hang it at the top. And for that I'm just going to chain 12, 1, and then I will turn the chain and indicate the first back bump right here, and in there, so I will just insert my hook in there. I will just make a slip knot, so pull the yarn through and slip stitch, and from there we can go directly into our third stitch, yarn over, pull it through and slip stitch, and then in the last stitch, yarn over, pull it through, slip stitch, and chain 1, then cut the yarn and pull it through, secure it. You can release the helper yarn, because now the only thing left would be to sew in the yarn ends. And I will do this in a way to make this last part a little bit more pretty, because with the decrease here for the very last round that they had in the pattern, I think the end looks a little bit weird with this bigger space here, because here's like our stitch for the top of the hole, the space for the top of our dishcloth, and this one here just gets created because of this double decrease that we had here. So what I'm going to do is to take that in from the side and just weave it around a little bit to pull that together. Don't drag on it too much, just so that it is closed and visually looks a little bit better. And then through here. And now I will just go through some of the stitches from side to side, just to pull everything in. And then again, I go here somewhere in the border, and I will also close this little gap right here. And like that, I have a little bit of a prettier ending. I have no idea why it is in the pattern like this, but I think such a nice project also deserves a nice finish. And now I will just go somewhere through here and then all the way up along some of the stitches. This is probably the crocheter in me that wants to hide everything and makes everything pretty in the end. And then we can just cut it. And another thing that I'm not really super excited about is the beginning, because it looks a little bit weird, I think, as if there's a stitch or something missing here. So I will take the yarn end and just finish it in a way to mimic an additional stitch. And for that I will just go here on the side in a stitch, and by dragging on it you can already see that it looks so much better and there's no gap and no hole anymore. And then we can simply sew that together. And once I'm here, I will just go through some of the stitches again in the reverse way. And once I have that, I'm just going to cut it. And here now you have a real ending. So this was basically my personal style and how I finish projects. Now, of course, you can also block it. Usually, I made a few of them. It's absolutely okay to just drag on them to get them a little bit more in shape. And then, of course, you can make so many other different pretty colors. As you can see, I was like so inspired by this little project that I just made 3 dishcloths already, and I think they're absolutely pretty and beautiful. They feel absolutely amazing. It's such a super nice texture with the garter stitch, and I'm still absolutely blown away by how this beautiful border gets created just by using yarnovers. And now I have a bunch of new dishcloths for my dishcloth collection. What do you think of grandmother's favorite dishcloth? Will it be your favorite dishcloth design too? It's definitely in the top 3 of my favorite dishcloth patterns. And if you know of any other knitting patterns or knitting stitches that you would like to see in the KNOOK version, tell me in the comments or send me an email so I can check it out and maybe make a future tutorial about it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed getting to know how to KNOOK this fabulous grandmother's favorite dishcloth, and I hope to see you back again next time only at the Totally Frizz Crochet channel. I can tell you already, there are a lot more KNOOKing projects coming very soon, and until then, happy KNOOKing! Have fun making grandmother's favorite dishcloth! Isn't it just amazing? And look, the colors even match my sweater. Bye!